If an old woman ever offers you a necklace shaped like a heart, don't wear it. Don't whisper anyone's name while holding it. And whatever you do, don't ask for love, because some things hear you when you ask. I still wake up some nights hearing Daniel whisper outside my bedroom window. The strange part is Daniel sleeps beside me when it happens. I've checked every time. I've forced myself to look, and every single night something wearing his face is standing outside in the dark. This is Tales of the Dark, and this is the story of how I accidentally invited something into the body of the boy I loved. My name is Amelia Reyes, and before all of this happened, I was forgettable. Not ugly, not unpopular, just invisible. The kind of person people smiled at politely before immediately forgetting existed. Except Daniel. Daniel Mercer worked at a small bookstore 3 blocks from my apartment. Quiet guy, soft voice, always reading something behind the counter whenever I walked in. Every Friday after class, I'd spend nearly an hour wandering around that bookstore pretending to look for novels, just to talk to him for 5 minutes. And every time I left, I hated myself for being too scared to tell him how I felt. Months passed like that. Then one night during a thunderstorm, everything changed. I was walking home from work through the old downtown marketplace when I noticed a tiny shop between 2 abandoned buildings. I swear that store had never been there before. The sign above the door simply said, "Love CHARMS." The inside felt wrong immediately. The air smelled burned, not like fire, like incense and smoke trapped inside the walls for decades. Tiny candles flickered across dusty shelves filled with rings, necklaces, jars of black powder, and strange symbols carved into bone. Then the woman behind the counter spoke. "You want somebody to love you." I froze. She hadn't even looked up yet, not a question, a statement. The old woman slowly raised her head toward me, and I don't know how to explain this properly, but her face looked older than normal human faces should look. Not wrinkled, ancient, like something preserved long past when it should have died. I laughed nervously. "You sell love spells or something?" The woman reached beneath the counter and placed a necklace in front of me. Silver chain, red heart-shaped pendant, beautiful enough to immediately pull your attention toward it. The red stone inside looked strangely alive beneath the candlelight. "He already wants you," the woman whispered. "He simply does not know how deeply yet." I remember asking her if the necklace actually worked, and I still regret the way she smiled after hearing that question. Not kind. Not evil, certain. "It calls love," she said softly. I didn't understand the difference back then. The ritual sounded simple. At midnight I had to light 3 candles around the necklace, hold the pendant against my chest, close my eyes, whisper Daniel's name 3 times. Then say the final sentence written on the folded paper she handed me. I asked what language it was written in. The woman stared at me for several seconds before answering. "Very old." I should have left right there. I didn't. That night I performed the ritual exactly as instructed. Midnight, bedroom lights off, rain tapping softly against the windows, 3 candles surrounding the necklace on the floor. At first nothing happened. Then the pendant suddenly became warm in my hands, not slightly warm, hot, like something inside it had started beating. The candle flames bent sideways all at once. Toward me, and somewhere inside the darkness behind my bedroom walls, I heard another voice whisper Daniel's name alongside mine. Male, deep, not human. I opened my eyes immediately. The candles blew out. The room went completely dark, and for 1 second, I thought I saw someone standing in the corner of my bedroom, watching me. The next morning, Daniel kissed me before I even entered the bookstore. No hesitation, no nervousness, like we'd already been together for years. At first, it felt perfect. Like every lonely fantasy I'd ever imagined had suddenly come true overnight. Daniel texted constantly, called constantly, wanted to spend every second with me. At first, I convinced myself it was romantic. Then the gifts started appearing. Flowers outside my apartment door, letters slipped beneath my windows. Pages torn from books with certain sentences circled repeatedly. "You are all I think about." I can't sleep without hearing your voice. You feel more important than breathing." One night he showed up outside my apartment at nearly 2 a.m. because I hadn't answered his texts for an hour. Rain soaked his clothes completely, but he just stood there smiling up toward my window. "I missed you." Something about the way he said it made my stomach tighten. Because Daniel sounded like he was repeating emotions he didn't fully understand, like someone trying to imitate affection after reading about it in a book. Things around him started changing too. The birds outside my apartment disappeared completely, not gradually, all at once. Even the stray dogs around the neighborhood became violent whenever Daniel walked nearby. One nearly snapped its leash trying to attack him outside a cafe. Daniel simply watched it calmly while it screamed and barked at him. Then he leaned toward me and whispered, "They can tell." I laughed nervously, "Tell what?" But Daniel only smiled. "You don't need to worry about that." That night I woke up around 3 a.m. because someone was standing beside my bed. Daniel, motionless in the darkness, watching me sleep. I nearly screamed, "How did you get in here?" My apartment door was still locked. Every window remained closed. Daniel tilted his head slightly, not confused, curious, like he genuinely didn't understand why the question mattered. "You sounded lonely." Every instinct in my body wanted to run, but instead I convinced myself I was overreacting, looking back now. That was the moment I should have realized something inside Daniel was still learning how humans behaved. A week later, I saw his shadow move independently. We were sitting together in my bedroom while rain hit the windows softly outside. Daniel sat reading beside me completely still. Then his shadow on the wall slowly turned its head toward me. Daniel himself never moved, only the shadow. I froze instantly. The shadow continued staring directly at me for several seconds before slowly returning to normal. Daniel finally looked up from his book and smiled. "You saw it, didn't you?" I couldn't even answer. My entire body felt numb. Finally, I whispered, "What are you?" Daniel's smile widened slightly, not cruel, relieved, like he was tired of pretending. "I love you." That wasn't an answer, and somehow that terrified me more. After that, things became worse very quickly. Daniel stopped sleeping entirely. Every night he stood outside my apartment building, staring upward toward my windows for hours without moving. Neighbors started noticing him. One woman asked if I had a stalker. Another claimed she saw him smiling directly into her security camera at 4 a.m. Then came the smell, smoke, burning air. No matter how clean his clothes were, Daniel constantly smelled like fire. One evening while kissing me, his jaw opened too wide, just for a second. Far wider than any human mouth should open, like something beneath his skin had briefly forgotten what shape it was supposed to wear. I shoved him away immediately. Daniel touched his mouth slowly, confused, almost embarrassed. "You're afraid of me now." Not angry, heartbroken. That was the horrifying part. Whatever lived inside him truly loved me, in its own terrible way. And that love was becoming possessive, obsessive, hungry. The next morning I went searching for the old woman's shop. It was gone, completely gone. Only an empty alley remained between the buildings. I asked nearby store owners about the antique shop. Nobody knew what I was talking about. One old man frowned after hearing my description of the woman, then quietly said, "That alley's been abandoned for 15 years. I returned home shaking and found Daniel sitting inside my apartment waiting for me. The lights were off. He sat completely motionless in darkness. "How long have you been here?" "A while." Something moved beneath his skin while he spoke, not metaphorically, actually moved. Like another face briefly pushed against the inside of his body before disappearing again. I tried backing toward the door. Daniel grabbed my wrist instantly, not painfully, just impossibly fast. The second he saw fear on my face, his expression changed completely, like he hated himself for frightening me. "I'm trying," he whispered, trying, not apologizing, trying. Then finally he told me the truth. The ritual never changed his feelings, it called something else, something ancient that heard my voice when I begged for love. And when Daniel became the focus of that desire, the thing entered him. Because it needed a body, needed closeness, needed someone to love, I asked what it was. Daniel stared at me silently for several seconds before answering, and when he finally spoke, his voice no longer sounded human. In your language, his jaw twitched unnaturally. The closest word would be jinn. Suddenly, everything made horrifying sense. The shadow, the animals, the burning smell. The thing inside Daniel had never understood human love, only possession. The creature confessed everything that night, not proudly, sadly. It had wandered alone for centuries, searching for human connection. The ritual invited it directly into Daniel's body because of the final words I spoke during the ceremony. I asked what those words meant. The thing inside him smiled softly, then translated them perfectly. To any spirit seeking a human lover, come and love through him. The old woman never sold love spells, she sold invitations, and I had opened the door willingly. After that night, the thing pretending to be Daniel became unstable, like wearing a human body for too long was exhausting it. Sometimes I'd turn around and suddenly find him already standing behind me without hearing him move. Mirrors reflected him incorrectly. His eyes occasionally became completely black, and every night I heard whispering outside my apartment in a language that made my head ache. Then one night, I woke up and found Daniel crouched beside my bed eating something raw in the darkness. Blood covered his hands. He slowly looked up at me and smiled. That was the first moment I truly understood. Daniel Mercer was already gone. The creature noticed my realization immediately. And for the first time, it became angry. The apartment lights exploded overhead. Every window shattered outward. The walls shook violently while the thing inside Daniel screamed in a language that sounded older than human civilization itself. Then suddenly, silence. Daniel's body collapsed onto the floor unconscious. The pendant around my neck cracked directly down the center. For several seconds, nothing moved. Then Daniel woke up crying, confused, terrified. He remembered nothing, not the obsession, not the stalking, not the nights outside my apartment, nothing. I destroyed the necklace the next morning. Or at least I tried to. Burning it didn't work, breaking it didn't work. Eventually, I threw the pieces into a river outside the city, and for a while everything felt normal again. Daniel recovered slowly. The whispers stopped, the birds returned. I convinced myself it was over. Until 3 weeks later, I woke up around 3 a.m. after hearing someone whisper my name outside my bedroom window. Daniel slept beside me peacefully, still asleep, still human. Then the whisper came again from outside. Amelia. I forced myself toward the window slowly. And hanging from the tree outside my apartment was the necklace, whole again, swinging gently in the wind, glowing red in the darkness. And standing beneath it was Daniel, smiling up at me, even though Daniel was still sleeping beside me. If you are new here, subscribe to Tales of the Dark, where every story gives you a nightmare.